Good day, students. This is Miss Shields here. Today we're going to talk about how to tell and write time in hours and half hours using analog and digital hours. So today Miss Shields has a few things to show you guys. As you can see here, I have a document that is displayed. And in this document, you guys will notice at the very top that we have two types of clocks. We can define these two types of clocks known as a digital clock and an analog clock. But some of you might wonder, well, Ms. Shields, what is the difference of a digital and an analog clock? Well, students, a digital clock is a type of clock that displays the time digitally. In other words, the time is displayed in numbers and we can decode its time by the hours and minutes displayed. Opposed to a digital clock, an analog clock indicates time by the position of rotating hands. So, as you guys can see in the clock provided here, as an example, Ms. Shields has provided two rotating hands. One is pointing towards the number 12 and the other is pointing towards the number 2. But first, let's discuss how we can tell time on these two clocks. On the digital clock, you guys will notice that there's a number 2, the semicolon, and then 2 zeros to follow. The number 2 represents the hour. The 2 zeros represents the minutes. That is how we tell time on a digital clock. However, on an analog clock, time is displayed quite differently. But first, let's discuss the two pointing hands. One is called the hour hand, the other is called the minute hand. The hour hand tells the hour and the minute hand tells the minutes. Well, Michelle, which one is the hour hand and which one is the minute hand? Well, as you guys can see, the long hand is representing the number of minutes in that hour, whereas the short hand is representing the hour. So, in this picture provided, you guys will see that the number 12 and the number 3 has two pointing hands pointing to them. This clock represents 3 o'clock. Well, Ms. Shields, how do we know? Once again, we have a minute hand and an hour hand in an analog clock. The long hand represents the minutes and the short hand represents the hour. Well, some of you may wonder, well, how do we know how many minutes is in that hour? Well, as you guys know, if we start at the number 1 and begin to count by 5, following each number, if we make count by 5s all the way around to the number 12, we will end up at 60. 60 minutes is in an hour, and 30 minutes past an hour represents a half hour. So, on the clock, it is representing 12 o'clock because if we count around by 5 all the way around to the 12, we will get 60 minutes in that hour. If we count around to the 6, that will represent 30 minutes in that hour. If you guys look down below, you also see that Ms. Shields has 3 other clocks shown here at the bottom. One clock represents an owl, which shows the time 5 o'clock. How do we know it's 5 o'clock? Because the minute hand is pointing on 12 and the hour hand is pointing at the number 5. The clock to the right is representing 12 o'clock. How do we know that? Of course, the minute hand and the long hand, the minute hand and the hour hand is pointing at the 12, indicating that the hour is 12. And there are 60 minutes in that hour, indicating that this hour is 12 o'clock. The third but not last but least clock shows us 1:30, which is in half hour. 1:30 is represented because the hour hand is pointing in between 1 and 2. However, because the hour hand is not pointing directly at 2, we can only suggest that the hour has not finished at 1 o'clock. So, we just know that the hour has passed 30 minutes past 1, but has not been a complete full hour. I hope you guys enjoyed this quick little podcast and reiteration for you guys after today's lesson. If you have any questions or concerns, please feel free to contact Ms. Shields at your earliest convenience. Have a wonderful day. Go Astros!